You don't see life as it is, you see life through the filter of your mind. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system, or RAS for short, which dictates what you either ignore or what you notice in your life. Have you ever asked yourself the question, why do some people see so many opportunities and they fly towards success, whilst there's other people just seeing obstacles, friction, and having doubt and fear filling their minds? It's because this part of your brain is either trained against you or it's trained for you. And in this video, I want to give you the awareness that you can apply in your life so you can start to train your brain to filter reality for success. So what is the reticular activating system? This is, again, your brain's filter for reality, and it will filter reality to show you more of what you focus on, more of what you believe in, and more of what you deem to be important, in short. And how this works, let me give you a quick analogy. There's a theory called the red car theory. And if I was to ask you the question, obviously you can't reply to me because you're watching this video, but if I was to ask you the question, how many red cars did you see yesterday? You would say none, or one, or two, or three. Maybe you like red cars and you've seen a couple because you deem them to be important. But generally your answer would be one or none. But then if I was to ask you tomorrow, or say to you, I'm going to give you £1,000 for every red car you see tomorrow, you would come back to me at the end of tomorrow and you would tell me I've seen 20 red cars, and that's because those red cars have now become important. Your brain is consistently filtering reality and it's processing millions of pieces of information, and through evolution, your brain's been really smart. It's developed this ability to filter reality and only hold on to the information that is important to you. Our brains would be overwhelmed if we just processed everything and kept everything in our minds, and that's essentially what's happening. And the example of the red car gives you an idea of how your brain just sees what it has to and ultimately finds what's important to you. So how is this bad? How can this work against someone? So for years, if you have run a business, because this will be for people that are probably running businesses or wanting to be an entrepreneur or a business owner right now, if you've always thought in your mind, oh, it's hard to get clients, or I need clients, or I need employees, or I need to increase my sales, or this is really hard, or I always get burnt out. If you just, again, say these things all the time, if these are things that you've always repeated and repeated, you're going to find more of that in your life. Your brain is literally going to filter reality to show you evidence to back that up. There's something called confirmation bias, and this is exactly what your brain does, is it uses confirmation bias to confirm beliefs that you currently have. So if you repeat all the time, you've got these unconscious habits, because they will be unconscious, because me and you can agree that focusing on problems and focusing on friction and focusing on things being hard is not productive. It's not going to help you. But you might have been unconsciously doing this for years. So if you're always thinking, oh, I can't get a break, I never stop, or it's always hard, then your brain's going to show you more of this. And ultimately, you have trained your reticular activating system to work against you. So this is the first step in you getting this part of your brain to work for you, is you becoming aware of this. So as I'm talking, start to think, am I always focused on the negative? And you might say, as I'm saying this, you're like, well, Kyle, there is bad things going on and there is negative things going on. Understand it. There can be problems 100%. But whilst there's problems, there's also opportunities. And this is where we're going to start to think about, right, cool, if you've had unconscious patterns that you've just become aware of because you've asked yourself the question, and in hindsight, you're like, well, I actually am quite a that you focus on problems quite a lot, you can start to notice the fact that you've actually been reinforcing to your brain to find more problems. So how we go against this is the first step is awareness. The first step is becoming aware of the fact that you've been doing that. Aware of the fact that you've been saying things are hard. Aware of the fact that you've been reinforcing negativity or negative things or barriers or obstacles. So that awareness is key. The second part is then intention. Because ultimately, if your brain is starting to filters reality based on what you deem to be important, based on what you consistently, consciously think about and feed into your brain, then ultimately you need to start moving with intention with the words that you say to yourself, the way that you perceive things, and the way that you're currently reacting, but then choosing to respond to things once you gain that awareness. So you become aware that you've been in the pattern of focusing on problems and you've been focusing on things that are bad. And then you set the intention to stop doing that and intentionally start filling your mind with positive things. At the start of every single day, you can use a powerful tool like visualization. One of the most powerful things that I've personally used to filter reality for success is visualization. Let me tell you a quick story. So ultimately, at the start of every day for 4 months straight, I worked one-to-one with a mindset coach to do a visualization, a guided visualization every single morning. In that guided visualization, I would get into a really relaxed state, alpha brainwave state. And in this relaxed state, he would guide me to think about what my life would look like in 12 months' time if everything goes to plan. 9 months' time, 6 months' time. And we'd get really detailed on exactly what that life looks like. And in this state, in this relaxed state, I would be visualizing, I would be feeling what it's like to have that reality. So what am I doing? I'm filling my mind with this. I'm feeling what it's like. This becomes something that's then important to me. And this is me directly, by starting my day like that, allowing my brain to then look for things that aligned with that visualization throughout my full day. And the story that happened to me and how I then went from making 3 to 4 grand in a month to doing £13,500 within 12 days, it happened because I started to start my day with this feeling of what it's like to have the life that I want. Filling my mind consciously with what it's like to get the result of making 20k in a month. Consciously thinking about that all the time. Speaking about it. Using a journal to start the day, speaking about how it feels and speaking from the present moment of earning that amount of money. Any conversations I was having with my friends, with my clients, with my mentor, with my family, was all about this success that I was getting and how good it felt. And because I was constantly filling my mind with this positivity, with this success-driven thoughts, ultimately I started to filter reality to find ways to make it happen. So before I was making 3-4k a month, and to do £13,500 in 12 days, you can obviously see something happened, something changed within me, and it was this part of my brain, the reticular activating system, that started to show me ways and opportunities to make more money based on this new thing that was important, which was making 20k in a month. So ultimately, I tripled the amount of money that I was charging up front, and that allowed me to hit that target and make more than £1,000 a day, when before I was struggling to make £1,000 a week. In fact, some days, in some months, I wasn't even hitting that. So here's a personal example of how that happened, and ultimately I became aware of negative thought loops, beliefs that were holding me back, a negative focus. I then set an intention using a powerful tool like visualization, connecting to the feeling of what it's like to already have what I want, and then going through my day, I had literally trained my brain to filter reality and see ways to move towards that, because all I was thinking about was the success. All I was setting intentions was to move towards the life that I wanted, and I was really aware. And this was something that I'd done on a daily basis. You need repetition, because ultimately, if right now all you can see is obstacles, all you can see is problems, it's because for a very long time you've consistently thought about the problems. You've consistently seen the obstacles. And this is where you need to flip that by becoming aware, setting a new intention, and then repeating that new intention. Using a tool like visualization is really important. Using tools like journaling. A journal is really, really important. If you can use a journal to become aware, for example, something that I implement with my clients is using a journal in the PM. And what this allows them to do is reflect on the day, notice negative patterns, notice negative thought loops, and become super aware. Because ultimately, awareness equals control. The clarity you gain from the awareness and the control you gain, that gives you the power to make a different decision, to start filtering reality for success and actually seeing ways to move forward rather than being stuck where you are right now. And that journaling can be very specific. You can journal at night time and ask yourself specific questions. And this seems super simple, but ultimately it is. This is simple. Journaling to ask yourself a question like, did I focus on problems today? Did I react today? These kind of questions allow you to gain direct awareness over these thought loops, over these negative behaviors that are constantly helping you filter reality for the wrong things. See obstacles, see problems. And when these tools are used in the morning and there's strong emotions connected, again, that only strengthens the ability for your brain to filter reality to truly show you what's important. The more emotion that you have attached to this vision, attached to these feelings, the more emotionally charged these thoughts are, the more they're going to reinforce to your brain to find ways to back them up, to then move towards it in your life. And that's, again, as simple as it is. That's how you can start to filter reality for success. But the first step is awareness. The first step is realizing that right now your reticular activating system isn't showing you what you want because you've trained it like that. The ownership needs to be taken. You need to understand that you've done this. No one else has. But the way that you've done it in the negative sense, it's just as easy to do it in the positive sense. A lot of people, a misconception that people have is it's very hard to be successful. It's very hard to think positively. It requires the exact same amount of energy to think negatively as it does to think positively. People have it backwards. Society isn't trained to believe that, but now you can implement that awareness as I've said it and update your filing cabinet, update your operating system to now believe that you can genuinely filter reality for success just as easy as you can filter it for problems. You just need to become aware like you have by watching this video. And remember, you're not changing this external reality, you're not bending reality, you're just seeing what's already there, but you're choosing to now filter it consciously to see what you want to see. Instead of seeing problems, you're going to start to see every opportunity to move forward. So you're not creating a reality, that creation already exists. Every single potential thing that could play out is already in your reality, you just can't see it right now. And if you want to see all of these opportunities, if you want to consistently fly towards a clear vision, success, and start seeing lots of results because you're rewiring your brain to work for you and give you this success and essentially work for you instead of against you, click the first link in the bio, because this is what I do with clients. I don't only give them clear actionable steps and help them create a lot of clarity. That's super powerful. But at a deep level, we're retraining these parts of our brain so they work for them. So they actually try less and get more results. It blows our mind. And it's not if the results come into your life that will blow your mind. It's how quickly they start to take form in your physical life that will blow your mind. Every single time a client has said, I can't believe that I've done this. Jay tripled his revenue inside 8 weeks. Daniel tripled his revenue inside 8 weeks. Richard tripled his revenue inside 8 weeks. Matty set a 12-month goal to leave his job and start coaching. He done it in 6 weeks. Kieran set a 2-year vision, 2 years vision to open up a gym. Inside 8 weeks, he opened up a gym. Crazy. Now he's opened up a gym that's 3 times the size as that one he opened up in 8 weeks. And it's all because he started to see opportunities because he retrained his brain to see every opportunity to move forward and use that part of his brain to filter reality for success. So if you want to do the same, click the link and let's get to work.